Hello and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Nick Zulovich, Senior Editor of Subprime Auto Finance News and BHPH Report. In today's webinar, Stand Out in the Crowd, How to Leverage Your Online Reputation to Gain New Customers, we're going to learn more from Nico Dato, the VP of Marketing at Podium. But before we get started, I want to go over a few housekeeping items for our webinar. Please make sure you've dialed in using the phone number provided in your communication email, or you're able to listen via your PC speakers. We are recording today's webinar and will make the recording available to you as quickly as possible. You will be in listen-only mode for the webinar, but we will reserve some time after Nico's presentation for a question and answer session. You can submit your questions at any time through the questions box on the GoToWebinar control panel. And if we aren't able to get to your question today, don't worry, because we'll forward it on to the team at Podium so they can reply to you directly. And finally, if you have any difficulties during the webinar, please click on the hand icon to alert a member of our team. With years of experience, let's get to Nico Dato, the VP of Marketing at Podium. Nico, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Great, thanks Nick. Excited to be here and be able to present on online reviews, online reputation, and how you can stand out in the crowd. With that said, we'll go ahead and just kind of dive right in. So originally it was myself and our senior regional sales director, Dan Wright. But it turns out there was an emergency that just happened. He had to take off. So I'm going to go ahead and take the entire webinar. If you get sick of my voice, I apologize. But I'll try to do my best to keep it as on point and concise as possible. All right, so quickly, let's just run through the agenda to let you know kind of what we'll be talking about today. So the first thing we're going to talk about is really around discovery and how dealerships can get found online. And when we dig in, what we'll kind of talk about is how organic search differs from local search and what you as a business should be focusing on. The second thing we're going to talk about is micro moments and near me searches and why they're important. Now, micro moments is a term that was coined by Google a while back, and it really is centered around these I want to know, I want to go, and I want to buy type of moments, and the types of searches that consumers are performing to actually get answers or take action on those desired searches. So we'll dig a little bit more there and really kind of break down why it matters to your business. The third is kind of the meat and bones of the presentation, which I'm guessing is why most people wanted to join. And it's really along the lines of tips and tricks for boosting local SEO. We work with thousands of businesses. We basically eat, sleep, and breathe online reviews and customer communication and interaction. So we're going to kind of give you guys all of our secrets as far as how you can do a great job of collecting more reviews, authentic reviews on the sites that matter most, and just flat out interacting with your customers. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how online reviews impact the entire buyer journey. This is something we talk about a lot at Podium, so if you've heard this before, hopefully we can kind of hammer it home. If not, we'll give you guys a good foundation. Now, to just kind of dive right in, we're going to talk about how to put your business on the map. And what we mean by that is how you can be discovered, how you can be found online, and really how you can have more at-bats with potential customers by allowing them to easily discover and choose your business. Now, really, the best way to do it is through search. Now, not too long ago, it used to be that a business could just cut a check to like the Yellow Pages and say, I either want option A or option B, and option B might be a fully baked and designed out ad in the Yellow Pages for your business, and you might only need to pay $500 and it's just done. It's over with. That was how you got found. You could pay the extra, X amount of money, and basically you just have customers come in the door. Today, it's quite a bit different. How consumers are discovering businesses is really through online search. They're going to sites like Google or sites like Bing or sites like Yahoo, and they're typing in basically their desired outcome. So, for example, someone might search for F-150 in San Francisco, California, and we really want to optimize dealerships like yours for those types of searches. Because if you're showing up near the top of those search results, you're going to have a lot higher chance of actually getting chosen by the business and acquiring customers through search. So to kind of break it down a little bit further, I think it's important to kind of show the difference between organic and local search. The best way that I've found to explain this, because it can be confusing for people, is an organic search result is really based on the relevance to search terms. So, for example, an organic search may be Audi A4, right? If someone's searching for an Audi A4, they might search Audi A4, and Audi USA is going to be that top result, unless there's some ads, right? But they're going to be the top organic search result. And Audi really should be the one ranking for that. It shouldn't be your Audi dealership in Florida. It should be Audi ranking for that. That's an organic search term. Those types of searches you want to leave to Audi to do. Plus, there's a good chance they're going to be able to help funnel that traffic to your dealership. Now, local search is really based on location signals. So what I mean by that is if I'm in San Francisco, California, and I search for Audi dealerships near me or Audi A4 near me, those are the types of searches that you as a local business or a dealership want to appear for. They're people who are in your area, they have purchasing power, they're already somewhat down the funnel, they're interested in a product that you carry, and you really want to make sure that you're the Audi dealership showing up and it's not your competitor or another dealership, 2 cities down. So again, just to quickly recap, Audi A4 search term should go to Audi USA, but then like Audi A4 in San Francisco or Audi A4 near me, those are the types of searches that you really want to appear for, and that's what reviews are going to help you impact and jump up in the page rankings. So just to dig a little bit deeper, why you should optimize for local SEO? Well, one of the main reasons is when people are first searching out something like potentially an Audi, if they've never owned one before, they might, and they probably will, value convenience over loyalty. They need to fill this need as quickly as possible, and online search tends to be the best way for people to fill that need. One interesting stat that you might hear or you might see here on the right-hand side is the number of near-me searches doubled in 2015. Some of the sources we have are telling us that 2017 are going to be even higher than that for near-me searches, and it really just kind of hammers home the importance of ranking in local SEO. And it really just goes to show that consumers, just like myself, are becoming more and more lazy and more reliant on search engines like Google, and they just want the path of least resistance to find what they want, and near-me searches are one of those pathways, so you need to ensure that you're actually visible for those types of searches. One last thing on this, and then I'll move on, but I really do think this is a really important aspect to hit on, is if you're wondering if you even appear for these types of searches, just start trying those searches. So if you're in Salt Lake City and you own a Chevy dealership, just try Chevy dealerships near me and see where you appear, and really kind of try to understand why you might be appearing second or third, or if you're appearing first, do what you can to kind of put up a barrier and put up a moat so that no potential competitors can actually enter that space. So anyway, just quick tip there. I highly recommend optimizing for this. This is one of the biggest takeaways you should have today, is that local SEO is going to be critical for your business moving forward. The next thing is online search behavior is changing. So it's increasingly mobile. These people who are searching on mobile, again, are doing more of those lazy types of searches, like near me searches. And you really need to ensure that you're optimized for those types of searches. And then next, they are being dominated by these micro moments, like the I want to buy, I want to go, I want to learn types of searches. So make sure you're optimized for those. Next, we really want to make sure that you're also there when customers need you most. So again, we want to offer some quick tips to optimize your site for local search, and ensure that you're showing up. So the first and foremost, most obvious option is, if you haven't already, claim your business on Google My Business. Now, I'm not going to go through each one of these stages. Hopefully you already have this claimed. If you don't, we have a ton of content on our blog. Feel free to go to blog.podium.com, and it'll tell you how to set it up, how to optimize it, and really ensure you have this page, which is really one of the foundations, set up and optimized correctly. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you have consistent contact info. If you're a marketer, you might see NAP, which is kind of like the industry buzzword for name, address, and phone number. And this is one of the biggest rookie mistakes we see, and one of the easiest fixes to ensure that you're optimizing your profile. And it's really making sure that you have name, address, and phone number consistent across all of your directories, on your website, across all of your pages, and making sure that even down to the address is 100% consistent. So I'll give you an example. If your address has like an east in it, you need to decide if it's an E, you need to decide if it's an E period, or if it's actually spelled out east. Google and some of these search engines are that particular about what your name, address, and phone number look like. So if I could offer any advice on this front, I would go and do a quick roundup of all of your directories, like your Yelp profile, like your Google profile, like your Facebook profile, like the footer on your website, and just see what all of them say. And then if they're all different, just come up with something consistent. A quick tip here is go to USPS.com or UPS.com, or even just use Google Maps and type in what you think your address is, and they'll spit back what the official address is for your business, and we recommend going off the syntax that they provide. They will either provide an E or an E period or east, but whatever one you use, just make sure they're consistent across everything, all platforms. The next is upload high quality photos. So photos really help your business tell the visual story about the experience that a customer can expect when they walk through your doors. Second, profiles with pictures see 35% more click-throughs than businesses that don't. And then the last one that I'll hit on is Google, from what we've seen, has been doing some testing in their map pack, which is kind of the 3 search results below a map on local searches that show up in search results. They've been testing showing a thumbnail image of the business in those results. And my guess is, and I'm not a professional Google decipherer, but my guess is that they are really understanding that these profiles get more clicks, and they want to put these images in those search results to even further the chances of a business getting chosen. So obviously, if you have the prettiest pictures, the most professional pictures, there's going to be a high likelihood that you get chosen, even if you're sitting in the second spot. And if you group that with your online reviews that you're collecting, there really is no stopping you. So I can't stress this one enough. Upload high quality photos, especially for a dealership. It can make all the difference. The next is collect and manage your online reviews. So we've kind of talked about this a little bit. Online reviews will boost your local SEO. but it will also help build trust and loyalty within your customers. And if you're doing a really good job of collecting reviews, a lot of those reviews will start selling potential customers for you. And what I mean by that is, if you know for a fact that you have the best selection of any other dealership in town, and people are writing about that in their reviews, they're basically selling the potential customer for you, because they're talking about the topic that matters most probably to that customer. And that might be selection. It could be, you know, friendliness of the staff. It could be the cleanliness of the dealership. It could be a million things. That's really up to you to understand. And a platform like Podium, not to be too salesy, can actually help you understand that. You just need to understand the platform that works best for your business. But start collecting reviews that really have meaning and they have authenticity, and they're talking about topics that your customers really care about. And you're going to see a huge shift in customers or potential customers really kind of self-helping themselves to decide that you're the business that they really want to engage with. So just to take it a step further and bring this all kind of together, we're going to quickly talk about how online reviews can impact local search ranking. So again, when we started talking about local search, we said that the signals are really based on location, which is absolutely true. And you can see this here in number 2 with the distance factor. But also, it's based on relevance. So if I'm searching for a dealership locally, Google's not going to serve me up a dentist. It's smarter than that. It knows I'm looking for a dealership. It even knows the specific OEM dealership I might be searching for. And so a lot of these search results are based on, you know, the relevance and the distance to the searcher. And then the last thing that we've kind of hammered home but haven't really gotten into quite yet is the prominence piece. Now, the prominence piece is really all around the reviews you're collecting, and that can be the quantity, the quality, the recency of those reviews, even the frequency of those reviews. And then it kind of comes down to, like we talked about, those directories, so your name, address, and phone number. It could be links to your website and things like that. But really, Google is taking care of these first 2 things for you, the relevance and the distance. You just need to ensure that you're optimizing for that prominence piece by getting all of your directories updated with consistent NAP, collecting reviews, and then just doing normal marketing activities like link building to kind of build up your website even further. Now, again, what plays into this overall local search algorithm is these online reviews. And then if you go a step further, which hopefully I'm not losing anyone, if you go a step further, they're looking at these reviews from an algorithm standpoint to understand, does this dealership have a high quantity of reviews? Do they have a high quality of reviews, meaning the star rating? What is the star rating? Is it a 4.5 or is it a 1? Also the frequency, and this is really around the frequency at which you're collecting reviews. So have they collected a bunch of reviews in the last month, or are they getting 1 review a year or 1 review a month or whatever? And then lastly, the recency. How recent are these reviews? And they really want to see this frequency and recency really up to date, meaning you should continually be collecting more and more reviews to make sure that reviews are recent, to make sure they're frequent. And not only is it going to impact local SEO, it's actually going to impact the trust that potential consumers have with your business as they look at the review and see, oh, this review is only a week old. That means I'm probably going to get an amazing experience as well. So anyway, make sure you're taking these factors into consideration as you start forming your online review strategy. And not only will you impact this brand trust and impact consumer confidence, but you're going to impact local SEO. Now, really up to this point, I've really kind of just talked about local SEO and online reviews and how they're impacting local SEO, but I kind of want to talk about the human element of online reviews, because it really is something to consider and not neglect, because you're putting forth all this time to get found through local SEO, you should also understand why a consumer is potentially going to choose your business over your competitor. Now, we actually ran a survey to a little over 2,000 U.S. consumers at the beginning of this year. And it was really centered around trying to understand how consumers interact with a local business's online reviews. And these are a few of the stats that we were able to pull away. So I'll just read them to you real quickly. Hopefully you can internalize and digest them as you will. But they're really, really good stats. So the first is 3.3 is the absolute lowest star rating of a business consumers would even consider engaging with. Now, you may ask yourself, oh, well, I'm at a 3.5, so I'm okay. Even if you're at a 3.5, we think that you really need to be in the 4s. If you want a good chance of being chosen over competitors, you really need to be in the mid to high 4s, and you really need to make sure that businesses or that consumers are seeing these reviews and really having confidence instilled in your business. And a 3.3 likely won't do that. Now, by no means does that mean go try to hurry and like hack this solution and fabricate the problem. That's the last thing you should do. What you should do with a stat like this, if you're sitting in that range, is say, obviously I need a strategy, obviously I need a tool, and obviously there's something going on operationally that I need to fix. And so really start looking into your strategy and building if you're around this 3.3 star rating. You really should be in the mid 4s at the very least. The next is 82% of consumers say the content of a review has convinced them to make a purchase. Now, again, this kind of goes back to what I had talked about recently. If you can make sure that customers are talking about those amazing topics in those online reviews, you're going to convince them that you're the right business just through the online review. And then it's going to make the job a hell of a lot easier for the salesperson or the service advisor who's going to talk to the business, because that consumer is already entering your business with a sense of trust in whoever's going to help them. So really make sure you're generating quality reviews that talk about things that are really going to be beneficial to potential consumers. And then lastly, 93% of consumers say online reviews have an impact on their purchase decisions. This one is really important to us because what we're actually seeing is that a lot of consumers are already like 80% through the funnel, through the purchasing funnel, before even engaging with your business. They've already done all the research. They might already know the car they want. You have the exact, interior and exterior and exact model that they want, and they know that you're a dealership that they can trust, since this is such a big investment for them. So really focus on the quality of your reviews. It'll make all the difference. Now, we kind of touched on the customer journey, but I'm going to touch on it a little bit further. I'm not going to go super far in depth in here on this slide, but because it's pretty self-explanatory. But reviews are really here to do a couple of things. The first is to impact awareness, like we mentioned with local SEO. They're here to impact consideration, like we talked about with generating high quality reviews. And then lastly, they're really here to kind of tip them being the consumer over the edge and deciding that you're the right business for them. And a lot of what we hear from businesses is, hey, consumers aren't just looking at our reviews once, they're looking at them multiple times, and they're looking at them throughout the entire journey. And so we really want to make sure that you have the right types of content to allow a consumer to get through each one of these stages of the customer journey. And again, by collecting a high quantity at a high quality, you're going to accomplish this. Now, a few tips to help businesses improve its online presence. This is really what I think everyone probably came to listen to, so we're going to go through all of this. And if you have any questions as we go through it, feel free to chat them in, and I'll try to get to them afterwards. The first is determine the right timing of the invitation. Now, like I said, we work with thousands of businesses. We've been able to see what timing works for each and every business, and it really is personal to each and every business. But by and large, what we found is automotive dealerships have found the right timing of the invitation is generally when there's some downtime at the dealership. Now, this can be during F&I. If they're getting their car serviced, it can be when you're pulling it around. If you're selling a new car, it can even be after F&I and after all of those other things, and they're washing the car and they're getting ready to bring it around. It really just depends on your business. But what we found is any downtime at a dealership is really the opportune time to try and collect a review. And that's because they have their cell phone in hand. They're trying to just kill time. They're kind of waiting around. They're anxious to get their car back, whether new or just getting serviced. And if you can invite them to leave a review at that time, whether it's verbally or through technology like Podium, your likelihood of getting a review is a lot higher than if they leave the dealership, because they've already had that experience with your dealership for the day and they're on to the next thing. You really want to capture it while they still have you top of mind. Hopefully there's not any questions here. This is a really important one, and one of our biggest secret sauces for our customers as they're collecting reviews. And really it can be the difference between a business collecting 30 reviews a month and a business collecting 150 reviews a month. So really take a look at your process and try to understand what the right timing is to invite a customer to actually leave your review. Now, the second is eliminate barriers. Now, what I mean by this is make sure you create a frictionless process, whatever that process is, for both your employees and your customers to easily invite a customer to leave a review and for that customer to actually leave a review. Now, there's a couple of talking points here, and I'm going to try my best not to confuse them. But the first is you want to eliminate barriers for employees. Now, one of the most obvious barriers we hear for an employee is, I just don't want to verbally ask a customer to leave me a review. And even if I do ask and they do agree to, I have to walk them through that entire process. And it turns out that they don't even leave a review after I go through the awkwardness of asking and after I take all that time to actually show them how to leave a review. So there's a clear barrier on the employee side that is happening at most dealerships. Now, there's another barrier, and that's for the consumer, and it kind of alludes to what I just talked to, but a barrier for a consumer could be, hey, you verbally asked me. Now the barrier is I need to remember to actually go leave a review, and I need to go log onto a computer. I need to find your dealership. I might need to log in. I need to go find where I leave the stars and comments, and then I have to think about what to write and actually post. So that's just one main barrier that we see, and that's really centered around verbally asking. The second barrier we see quite often is dealerships trying to make cards to request an online review, and the card might give them all the directions in the world. It might shorten a URL that they think makes it look really easy, when in fact your average consumer is really, really nervous about that link because it looks very, very questionable. And then you're still leaving that barrier in the way for them to have to go home, get on their computer or pull it up on their cell phone and find your business and actually do it. So those are two of the most common barriers we see. An easy way to eliminate it is to use a tool that can actually streamline it. Again, I don't mean to be salesy if I'm being salesy, but it's a great example. Podium will actually text message the consumer a link that takes them directly to the stars and comments of the review site that they already have on their phone, and the review site that you're focused on getting reviews on, eliminating all of those barriers. And again, if you do it at the right time, you eliminate just one more barrier, and you can easily get reviews flowing in. But if you're leaving it up to the consumer to take initiative on their own to do you a favor, you're going to be hard pressed to get the results that you're really looking for. Now, the third is set expectation for a review. Now, I just mentioned that one of the barriers is actually asking for a review. because sometimes people feel awkward. That's absolutely true. But what we mean by setting the expectation, which is really completely different than asking, is just saying, hey, it's something as simple as, hey, I'm going to send you a link. It's going to be in a text message. And if you don't mind clicking on that link and leaving a review, that's awesome. If not, no big deal, but the link makes it super easy. And I just wanted to make sure you knew that was coming along. It really isn't awkward at all, actually, for a salesperson to say that or a service advisor to say that to a consumer. And really what you're doing there is you're setting it up in the consumer's mind to expect that text message. And once they get it, the propensity of them actually doing it is a lot higher than if you don't say anything. So really set the expectation. It can be what I just said, or it can be even shorter by saying something along the lines of, hey, you're going to get a text here shortly. All it's going to do is ask for some feedback. That's all you need to do. And really, if you have a good process and strategy and technology in place, that will take care of the rest. And you're really not relying on the consumer, and you're really not relying on the employee. Now, the next is, don't just collect reviews to collect reviews. You should be collecting reviews, and you should be investing your time and money and resources into targeting the sites that matter most to your business. Now, whether that's Google or whether that's cars.com or whether that's DealerRater, that's really up to your business. That's really up to your business and really what your goals are. But by and large, if you're focused on SEO and discovery, I would focus your efforts on Google or Facebook. If you're looking for diversification or just even more increased trust, take a look at getting reviews on like a cars.com or a DealerRater, and really focus your efforts there. What I'll say is you're not going to go wrong either way. A cars.com and a DealerRater can still appear in local search results. A Google might just carry a little bit more weight in having you appear in that map pack. So really it's up to your business, but the important piece here is don't just collect reviews on sites just to collect reviews. Make sure you're putting those efforts towards the sites that are driving the most impact for your business. A quick jump into Google Analytics will probably be able to show you which sites are going to be most impactful for your business. And I would really start there and then figure out your strategy after that. Now, the next is make sure you're delivering high-quality customer service. I hate to even mention this. It should be the most obvious thing, but you'd be surprised at how many businesses we run across that are not focused on delivering high-quality customer service. They just want to churn out, sales or service, and they just want to make the money, which we totally get, everyone gets, but you're going to make your life way easier if you can deliver better customer service at the same time. And if you do that, your reviews are going to be reflective of that online. You're probably going to get more word-of-mouth referrals and more walk-in traffic. So again, I hate to even mention it. I'm not going to hit on it too much, but please, please, please just take a look at your operations, especially if you're a business that is down in that 3-star range. That could be some of the difference in just getting you from a 3 to a 4-star. Now, step 6 is really all around inviting customers to leave you feedback and reviews through the most familiar channels. By and large, the most familiar channels are going to be email and text. And then if you want to boil it down even further, it's going to just flat out be text. And here's a couple of stats to really kind of drill down and show you why. So text messages have an open rate of 99%. 90% of which are opened within 3 minutes of receiving that text. And then if you even want to go a step further, you know as well as anyone, if you get a text from a random number, you're still going to open it up and look at it. If you get a call from a random number or you get an email from a random number or a random email address, you may not open that email or answer that call. So please, please, please invite through familiar channels. Text message is going to be your best bet. It will make all the difference. Lastly, use an online review management tool that works best for your business. If it's not an online review management tool, find a strategy that works for you. Whatever it is, if you can just get something in place, it's going to make your life a lot easier. It's going to make your consumers or your customers a lot happier. and your employees are going to love you because you're going to be reaping all the benefits and doing really half the work. So my suggestion is, obviously I'm a tad biased, but use a tool that works best for your business. Whether or not it's Podium, it will make your life a lot easier. Now, if you decide that Podium is the tool that you want to use, we're offering a promo code here. If you talk to anyone from Podium, make sure you just mention this code, and it's just auto-may17, and they'll get a discount applied to your account if you decide that Podium is something you want to look into. Lastly, we always like to cite our sources. We don't want you to think that we're blowing smoke. So these are all of our sources. We'll send this deck out to you, and feel free to click through these links that are hyperlinked to get a little bit deeper on anything we talked about today. With that said, we'll go ahead and jump into Q&A.
Excellent job, Nico. A lot of great information and recommendations there. As mentioned, we will be delivering the recording and the presentation to you as soon as possible after our session here. So keep watch of your inbox for a message containing links to those materials. And to get our question and answer session started, Nico, I guess rewind toward the top of your presentation, and you talked about the importance of having that name, address, and phone number accurate and consistent for the business wherever it might show up online. I guess it seems so obvious, but how often have you seen it from automotive clients that there's some breaks in the chain, so to speak, of that information delivery, and how frustrating has it been for the clients, but consequently how easy of a fix has it been?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it really depends on where the business is seeing the broken links. Now, a lot of businesses will say, "Hey, I've got a ton of reviews, but I'm not showing up anywhere in local search." And you might say, "Okay, well, where are you collecting reviews?" And they may say, again, one of the sites that just don't matter, and they're not going to impact anything. So that's one really obvious break in the entire link. Another one that we see really often is on the back end when you're requesting a review, where people say, "Hey, I've got this great strategy. I'm spiffing my employees to just mention something verbally, and every review they get that mentions their name, I give them like, $100 or $50 or whatever." Not only is it ineffective, it's very expensive for a lot of these businesses. And even if consumers are complying and agreeing to leave a review verbally, a lot of times they don't follow through. And it really kind of goes back to they've left that dealership and they've moved on with their day. And really the last thing on their mind is going to help the dealership by giving them a review. Only are they going to take the time to do that is if they're very, very excited about the opportunity or the experience for whatever reason, or very upset. So those are two of the most common breaks in the entire link that we see. But both of them are very fixable. The first is collect reviews on the sites that are going to matter most to your business. The second one is you obviously need to find a strategy that's working because the original one just isn't cutting it. Hopefully that answers your question.
That the voice you're hearing there, that's Nico Dato, who's the Vice President of Marketing at Podium. He's our special guest expert today on our webinar, How to Leverage Your Online Reputation to Gain New Customers. And you did a great job of spelling out some great steps to take to generate those online reviews. And a great questions come in from one of our participants. For example, you shared how the invitation could be made while the customer is at the dealership. Perhaps it's service is being done to their vehicle, and they're in the lounge and they jump on the dealership's Wi-Fi that might be available. What's been your experience as far as how Google might accept that review, or other platforms, if in fact, instead of being on the cellular service from their provider, that they're connected to the internet connection at the dealership? What light can you shed there?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and a lot of people neglect to even think through this possibility. And there's actually a provider of reputation management and reviews that was there's been a few actually that were collecting reviews, through like an iPad or a kiosk or whatever, and a lot of these dealerships would just lose their reviews, and it's because sites like Google were noticing, hey, this is a little fishy. All of these reviews are coming from this exact same device, from this exact same Wi-Fi. Really, what Podium's done is taken a completely different approach to that issue, and really, what you can avoid, or how you can avoid it, is by making sure that you're collecting reviews from a device that's unique to each and every review. Now, what I mean by that is, even if I'm on an iPhone and I'm connected to the Wi-Fi, Google is going to notice that I'm on a different device leaving that review than the past 100 people who have left a review. Each of these phones have a unique ID, and as long as that unique ID is not being used over and over again, a lot of these review sites are totally fine with it. They see it as a real, authentic review, which it is. The main issue that you're going to run into with the Wi-Fi play, again, is if you're using an iPad, or we've seen people pass around like an iPod Touch or an iPad, and if a review is getting left from that same device over and over again, and the common theme for a business like that is them handing an iPad to the consumer, that consumer having to log into an account and then log back out afterwards, but leave a review in the meantime from that same device, and that just looks fishy. It looks fishy for anyone. And it is a little bit fishy, to be perfectly honest. So we really just recommend, if you're going to have people connect to your Wi-Fi, or even not connect to your Wi-Fi, just make sure you're getting real, authentic reviews from customers from their own device. That's the most honest and white hat way to do it. And a lot of the review sites are looking for a lot of the things that you just mentioned.
And to quickly follow up on that point, as you mentioned, each of these devices has a unique identifier, and Google is keeping tabs on that potential fingerprint rather than the IP address of the Wi-Fi where the dealership might be located. It seems as if more and more that they're looking at the device rather than the pipeline of where the review came through.
Yeah, I mean, that's our understanding, right? Is a lot of the people who, or a lot of the dealerships that have run up against this issue, is it's coming from the same device. Now, with that said, is everyone going to log onto your Wi-Fi who visits your dealership? No. Even the dealerships that say, yeah, everyone logs on, I know it's not true. And all of us know that, like, even if you're quickly visiting the dealership, you're not hopping on the Wi-Fi. But if you want to be safe and you think everyone is hopping on the Wi-Fi, just make sure it's coming from a unique, device that has its own ID and hasn't been used, 20 times over again, and you should be fine.
The voice again is our special guest, Nico Dato, the Vice President of Marketing at Podium. And Nico, you shared a lot of great data and information throughout your presentation. And just to clarify, how much of the information and trends was specific to automotive, or how much did it kind of cover other consumer verticals and behavior? Just how relevant are the general trends that you highlighted? How relevant are they into the automotive space?
Yeah, great question. So a lot of the stats that we talked about are relevant to multiple industries. They really do span across 5 or 6 core industries, but what we found is they're relevant for each one. as far as the tips and tricks that we provided, those are really centered around dealerships, because dealerships really need to approach this strategy a little bit different than, say, a furniture store or a dentist or something like that, right? So a lot of the stats are pretty broad, but still very, very relevant. All of the tips and tricks that we're providing are really centered around auto. Hopefully that answers your question. Let's answer one more if at all possible, Nick.
Absolutely. Closing moments here with Nico Dato, the VP of Marketing at Podium, and just a reminder that we are recording today's session, and we'll make links available to you as soon as possible so you could review the material he's gone over and share it with other people at your store. And I guess perhaps the close here, Nico, is certainly this perhaps could be an overwhelming topic or challenge for a dealership, especially if they're stretched thin in resources and have a lot of other fires to put out, so to speak. But just again, how important is it to address this topic, and how can dealerships kind of perhaps maybe take some baby steps before really getting into it and improving their online reputation in a significant way?
Yeah. So we feel that it's a really important thing for businesses to really get on board with and invest time and strategy into. Not only is it helping them get found online, it's helping them get chosen. And then lastly, it's really helping them get insight into the operations of their business, so that they can continually improve the overall experience for consumers and hopefully grow revenue, right? As far as first steps go, I think a lot of the content we went through today is really relevant to making sure that you're either getting set up correctly or optimizing the setup you currently have. But yeah, I would definitely take a look at the review sites that are going to matter most to your business, the review sites that have the most impact for the goals that you're trying to achieve, and then really kind of back into that with your strategy and say, here's the sites I want to collect reviews on. Now, here's what I need to actually go collect those reviews. Like I had mentioned, this deck has a lot of good information. Our blog also has a ton of information on getting started or even just optimizing. But do your research and it'll become pretty clear pretty quickly that this is something you need to focus on. Really deciding how you go about it is up to your business, but that's kind of why we're here, and we're happy to help.
Again, that's Nico Dato, Vice President of Marketing at Podium, our special guest today for our webinar, How to Leverage Your Online Reputation to Gain New Customers. Excellent job, Nico. Wonderful recommendations and information. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
And again, thank you for joining us, and best wishes for continued success at your dealership. Thank you so much.